Midge and Warren. Warren, I'll come back to you and find out what you've done since leaving Australia, but firstly, how did you like Australia, Midge?
Okay, we loved it. Because we'd always been sold the wrong impression of Australia, you know. In Britain, that is. You get this, you know, all we see of Australia is like the Sullivans and Skippy, and it's not, it doesn't quite sum it up, you know. So when we got there, we were really surprised. We loved it. Time to get back.
Is there a chance that you get back this year, 82, or will it be 83?
It's going to be 83. It's going to be early 83, like the same time as we did this year, so February, March.
And Warren, when you left us, where did you go? What have you been up to since?
When we left Australia, we went off to Japan. It was the first time we'd been to Japan. We had a really good time there.
That was good?
Yeah, it was great. Very, very successful. Very interesting country, but same as in Australia, we never get any time to ourselves. You always have to do the sound check, do the gig, do the interviews and things. And you're dying to get away. You want to go off and see something and do something.
Have a look at the place.
Yeah.
Which you got 5 hours, didn't you, on motorbikes? That was
At the end of the Australian tour, yeah. But in Japan, after it finished, because that was the end of the tour completely, we stayed on for a few days.
And then you came back to England. Did you work immediately, or have you been resting, or what?
Well, we sort of all went our separate ways for a few weeks, and then we got back together, and we've been writing songs ever since.
Last time we were here in London, we spoke to you, and you spoke about a solo album that you had in mind. What's happened there?
Oh, it's finished.
It is?
Yeah, it's finished now, and management's looking for a deal, because we produced the entire thing first, and now we just shop around and get the best deal we can.
What sort of sound is that? Similar to Ultravox?
Not really. I mean, there are parallels in that there are obviously a lot of electronics on it. It's primarily electronic. Right. And a few classical influences, but it doesn't sound anything like Ultravox. It's totally different.
Did you have much help on that? Have you brought in a whole stack of musicians, or
well,
just
the
yourself?
basic thing was done with myself and a person that's my partner outside of Ultravox, Hans Zimmer, synthesizer player. And it's basically just the two of us, but we roped in quite a few of our friends to do a bit of singing, a bit of guitar playing, just bits and pieces.
When can we look forward to that being available on the market?
January.
Good. Now, Midge, you have a solo single that is happening at this moment. No Regrets. Why did you do that? Why did you pick that song?
It's one of these songs that this is stuck in my memory. The song wasn't out that long ago. People seem to think it was, 10, 15 years ago the song was around by the Walker Brothers. It was only 6 or 7 years ago. And it's one of these things that I've always wanted to do. I've got a whole pile of songs that I always wanted to cover. And I had plans of doing like a cover version album, but I've never got around to doing it. And I think the British Electric Foundation have actually beat me to it. They've done a cover version album. So just to get the thing off my chest, I recorded No Regrets.
What about an album? Will you go out and do an album?
Well, I'm actually building a studio at my house just now. So once that's completed, when I've got a couple of days off, whenever I get a couple of days off, I'll maybe go in and stick something down. But I've got no plans for doing a follow-up single or rushing into the studio to cash in on it or whatever. I mean, I'll do it when I feel like it.
Doing well for you here too, eh?
Doing incredibly well, yeah, it's really nice.
Visage is the other iron that you have in the fire, along with some other people. Will you ever go live with them on the road, do you think? Will they ever tour as Visage?
Well, I don't think they'll have a tour. My association's now finished with Visage. I'm doing other things. Right. I stopped with the last album. That's my last works with them. So I don't think they'll ever do anything live, really. It's too complicated because everyone's involved in other projects and they've all got their own band.
What's Max this?
Max Langdon. We've done a project together. It's like spoken word with electronic music background.
Right.
We've finished that, and Chris and I have also been doing directing videos for other artists.
Yeah, those videos, I believe at one stage you were going to do a video doco, and you think that you might do one next time you come to Australia. Can you tell us what that's about?
That's right, yeah, we just didn't have time to put the whole idea together. We were going to do it on Australia and Japan, like a documentary whereby we'd do the camera work and we'd edit it and produce and direct the thing for television. But we just didn't have time to get the bits together. But I mean, we see lots of documentaries about romantic places and far off distant lands. But it's always David Frost's interpretation of it or Alan Wicker's interpretation of it. You know, we
Sure,
thought,
yeah.
We want to do one on the back of a Harley Davidson.
sort of, yeah. The things that we'd find interesting, you know, the dirty CD parts and things.
Oh, great. It's something to look forward to. Ultravox, as they are today, about to record a new album?
We've been locked away here for 2 months now, on and off. Actually writing the material, because we write all the material together in a room like this, which isn't much of a room. But we actually start in the studio on Monday, and this time we're actually doing it with a different producer.
Yes, who is?
George Martin.
Why did you select George? What's the thing behind that?
It's such an off-the-wall idea. I mean, working with Connie Plank was great, and it was very successful, and we had a great time doing it. But we felt it was getting very safe for us. I mean, it was almost like a formula,
Right.
and we didn't want to stick to any formulas. We wanted to be as diverse as possible. And George Martin was the only other name that we could think of as producers, without doing it ourselves, who interested us remotely. I mean, he seems such a bizarre character, and when we met him, he was great. He was knockout.
He's the man that'll walk into the studio and do it with you, what, 3 or 4 days from now?
Yeah.
Wish you well with that. Do you know what it'll be called?
No, yeah.
Not yet, no.